All right, welcome to another video from the chart readers. We will be looking at the EV sector today. So we will do what we always do, right? We'll look at the daily and the weekly. We'll use our 5 moving averages, these horizontal support and resistance lines that I manually draw. And then when we're done up here, we will use the MACD and the RSI as our lower indicators. So look, Tesla, not quite a fantastic day, but it did take care of our rule number 1, right? Rule number 1 is you got to get over the 8, right? So unfortunately, look, some people bought it at the open. Hey, some people even bought it up here, right? Around 200. It obviously dropped almost to this 190 number and then ended around 194. Nonetheless, all I really care about is getting over the 8. That's beautiful. However, we do need one more day confirmation, right? It's really important that we do get it. However, if we get it, there's a decent gap fill to at least 205, if not all the way up to basically 210, right? Maybe this between the 20, this day right here, this lower line, and then this day right here, this lower line, right? But 1, 2, 3, 4, this boom, 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 we might fill right here, right? So Tesla is definitely worth keeping an eye on. And again, though this doesn't look like a good candle to many, for us it is, because again, you got over the 8 Tesla, hell yeah, right? That's rule number 1. Again, we've seen it a couple times when we get this down and then what looks like this curvature forming. That is good, right? And again, pending your risk tolerances, you can play these curves however you want. For me, I'm happy to see a curve, a break of the 8. Let's get some confirmation and hopefully run to this 20, if not higher. And look, after the 20, the 50 is all the way up here, right? So again, with another gap fill right here, potential happening in between that 20 and the 50. So a lot going on for Tesla here. And again, it all starts with getting over the 8 and then showing confirmation. So not a great RSI and MACD, but again, not a bad one, right? It looks like green wants to overtake on both. MACD's not super negative, so I'm okay with that. And both pretty much are horizontal, right? So as long as we can just break it, hey, if we can even break 60 or even just ride to 60, that should be enough to make a decent profit between here and there, right? So, let's take a look at the weekly. Okay, so look, the weekly is not fantastic, and we always say, right, you want to find a good weekly so that your daily looks even better, right? We might see some better weekly charts that would make a stock on this better than Tesla, but hey, the daily has some potential forming, right? So again, pending your risk tolerance, how close you are to your brokerage account, the finger on the mouse, all that might play into how you do this, right? So that is Tesla. Ford, look at Ford. I mean, look, again, cannot describe the power of the 8 moving average any better than this, right? And I've been saying that for a number of videos. Where are we now? We're basically working our way to the last moving average. Seems to be struggling a little bit with this 200. And again, that's kind of to be expected, right? It is literally the last one before you break out and you just have nothing but clear up there, right? You just have the lines that I make. So really getting over this 200 will be really important, but nonetheless, look, riding over the 8, I love it. Golden cross right there, a number of golden crosses here. And again, what's a golden cross? That's when a lower one breaks above a big one, right? So here the 8 goes over the 50, over the 100, boom, boom. Obviously 8 is a smaller number, so that's what that means. And even right here, right, the 20 goes over the 50, hopefully the 20 goes over the 100 here. Hopefully the 8 goes over the 200 here. Just golden cross after golden cross, right? And that really just signifies going up. So good things to be had on Ford, right? And hey, our RSI is a little on the higher side, but by no means is it near that like I'm worried wall, right? So not the best of candles, but better than yesterday, which is good. Hopefully we can get a little closer to 50% candle, right? You've heard me say that a bunch of times. And obviously, if we can get over 1450, we'll get over this day as well as that 200. So, but Ford, again, looking real good. And look, this is what I mean by look for a better weekly. Tesla, I'm going to go back real quick. Oops. Tesla, nowhere over the 8, not even close, right? Ford, look at this. We're over the 8, we're over the 20, we're trying to get over the 100, right? So this is what I mean. If you can get in early, and hey, obviously it's been real good since the 200 bounce, right? Again, I will say just depending on your risk tolerances, right? But even just these last 3 weeks were real good profits, and it starts with the weekly. If the weekly could be good, the daily is going to be beautiful, right? So, and just screams it all the way through here. MULN with an extra little space. Sorry about that. Okay, so MULN, where are you at? Oh man, dang. Okay, so look, MULN had a pretty monster day right here. Unfortunately, look, it wasn't a moving average, but it pretty much stopped right on our 33-cent wall right here, right? From there, it came down, but at least stayed over the 8. Again, came down, but at least stayed over the 8. Unfortunately, this day did worse than this day, right? So we clearly closed down here, which is lower than the previous day, right? You always kind of want to do at least as good as the previous day, and then definitely within 50% of that last big green one, right? From there, today was not a good day. We actually closed under the 8, right? That does have me worried. Look, obviously the Nasdaq's been doing really well, so I mean, with the right volume, this thing can pick up, right? But we're still well away from good, consistent uptrend, right? And it's gonna start on the weekly, right? I mean, Tesla at least looks a little better, in all honesty, but they both have bad weeklies, right? We want a forward weekly to make us feel like, the dailies are going to look good. But yeah, again, MULN, right now, nothing looks too fantastic, especially given that we just lost the 8, right? I would definitely say look, at least, I mean, yeah, you got to get over 33 cents. I'll be honest with you, because getting over 33 cents would get us over this. Hopefully we start this gap fill right here, right? Even this itself is some sort of a gap fill right here, right? So a lot of it's going to happen on what happens with that cluster right there. But yeah, there's still a lot that makes me say stay away from MULN. Hey, if the volume's there, maybe pick up a quick ride, but for sure bank profit, because nothing is saying consistent uptrend, right? It's still kind of screaming, pops and drops, pops and drops. So LIDR's been making a wild move. Look at LIDR. So look, we talked about this, right? The 20, nothing's happened on this 20 for a long time. If you can break it with the right RSI, the right MACD, and then the right, NASDAQ conditions, you get the follow through that comes. And look, literally to the penny, it runs little past this resistance, but definitely hits this resistance, right? Again, look, I'll be honest, if this thing opens at like 97 cents, literally, if you open a penny better than what we closed at today, there's no reason to believe this wouldn't come up to the 50, right? We still have a real nice MACD getting close to positive. We still have a real nice RSI, really low number actually, right? This isn't even into the 60s or 70s. So I mean, there's a gap fill pretty much right here to be had. I mean, there's a lot of reason to believe this could make a pretty decent run here on LIDR, right? So watch this, watch how it reacts to the 50, because look, even riding from tomorrow to the 50 looks like a pretty decent percentage, right? 10 cents is double digits, right? Roughly 10 cents away from, literally 10 cents away. 106 will get us to the 50, right? So literally, if you open at 107 and ride that to 106, you're just under that double digit number. So again, a couple ways to play it from there. Hey, maybe wait to see if 110 breaks and try to ride that to 150. It's a nice percentage right there too, right? So LIDR is worth keeping an eye on. And look, okay, not as healthy as Ford necessarily, but look, on the weekly, we've made a real big chop of this downtrend. And there's such a healthy gap between the 8 and the 20 that all we really need to focus on is the 8 right now. If we can get the 8, hey, maybe we'll start doing sustained up, making our way to the 20 and so forth, right? But LIDR looking real good, and it really started when it was able to break this. I wish I made the line on this last time, right? But tried to make that gap fill, doesn't happen. Tries to make the gap fill, gets over this and gets a nice little push right there, right? But again, So far, 2 days over these moving averages, real nice confirmation. A golden cross, I'm trying to use that word a little more on these videos, would be real nice too. So LIDR looking real good. EVGO. EVGO. Okay, EVGO not as good as the others on this, a little more horizontal. But look, this thing's been downtrending for a bit, right? So it's at least starting this horizontal. You know, it really did a horizontal right here too. It hasn't done this, like, I kind of take back what I just said. But yeah, this is really moving a little more horizontal than ideal. And I've really said it. I like to wait till the horizontal falls out, right? Because either it's going to go up or it's going to go down. Otherwise, you really just can't tell how long this is going to go for, right? Nothing significant happening here, and really way better stocks on this video. It seems like this wants to get close to the 8, but that's a really disappointing RSI. I do not like that at all. Are we lower? I mean, we've gotten to the 17 range. Have we been even lower? No, it looks like, yeah, it looks like we're near the lowest, I think, right? Yeah, so yeah, I don't like this weekly. And in all honesty, unless something major happens, there's way better stocks to look at across this video. NIO was new on the list, and NIO is sitting on a pretty important line right here. So look, we're at least over the 8. We're definitely over the 20 as well. We did get this nice golden cross. I wish RSI was peaking up just a little bit more, but definitely still in the healthy realm. And look, we crashed, started going horizontal. Hopefully we'll go up, because really that'll start kind of filling in this gap right here, right? Really watch how this 1169 line plays, right? If this thing opens at 1170, there's reason to believe it'll at least come to maybe 1230, 1240, give or take. Otherwise, hey, it might even make a run all the way to the 50 right here at 1432, right? So pretty nice. I'd say it looks pretty good here actually. So again, I wish this just looked a little better, but there's reason to believe that this down, starting a horizontal, hopefully go up, right? Because again, 1, 2, 3, 4 days over the 8, 3 days over the 20. And though it's kind of starting to curve just a little bit more than ideal, there's still a healthy distance between here and the 8, right? Coming to the weekly, again, I wish the weekly was looking a little better, but again, pending your risk tolerance, right? You can kind of start playing this gap up on the weekly, still well above 50% of this big candle, right? Even still above the bottom of this day, which I also like too, you know? So hopefully the rest of the week is good and we'll close over the 8, giving us reason to think that, hey, we might be coming to the 20, because look, that's a nice weekly gap fill right there, right? So keep that in mind. NIO's worth watching, but definitely still better stocks that we saw. So Polestar made a pretty monster move. Look at that. Definitely a gap up in between pre-market or after hours, right? A gap fill right here. Yeah, look at that. We're actually over this line. Oh, we're not over this line. $6. I would definitely set an alert for $6 if you do not have any money in this. But look, we are 1, 2, 3, 4 days over the 8. I love it. We are 2 days over the 50. I wish it was a little better 2 days, but nonetheless, we're still 2 days over. This day did pretty good compared to yesterday. And look, we're just now getting to the 100th day of trading. So the 100 is now just forming, right? So yeah, if we can get over this 6, I think there's real good reason to believe we'll get to 715, right? Which is $1.20. Yeah, almost 20% actually. So and potentially an easy 20%. Watch volume here, because volume will definitely help drive it. And yeah, look, this is a nice weekly forming right here again, right? Last week we got over the 8. This week, definitely a doji, but looking better than last week by a lot, actually. So I am liking Polestar. I am actually. Polestar might be one of the top ones. There's still 3 left, but this one might be one of the top ones to watch on this list. VLDR, if I'm not mistaken, made some good moves. Look at VLDR. This one might be the best one to look at going into tomorrow. I really like this actually. And look, we've gotten over the 100 before, clearly failed it, but whatever. If we can get over it, that's a real healthy distance between the 100 and the 200. Loving that RSI, loving that MACD, actually at the 0 too. So VLDR might be the number one going into tomorrow, actually. Good to know. Loving this weekly. What is this RSI? Do not like this RSI. But again, look, I've always said it. 80% of the work is up here. This is the last 20%, right? This 80 looks really good. Again, still very early in the week. We still have a few days of trading left, but over the 8 so far by kind of a lot, I would say, and starting to try to take this 20. And again, I love the fact that we've done it before, so this isn't necessarily the first one. Have we done it again? I mean, yeah, back in the day we did it. So, hey, if this happens, that could be a pretty monster thing, actually, because now you start to wonder if you can actually make it to $2, if not 188, break this and maybe make a gap run to that. So VLDR, I think, is the number one going into tomorrow. Solo's actually been doing really well too, kind of like we thought, right? I remember kind of seeing this writing of the 8 form. A little bit of scare right here, but hey, 20 did its job. A little bit of a fall under, right? But again, no confirmation under, didn't even lose this 110, and then just making a nice move. Look, struggling a little bit with this 100. Not a great RSI in the daily. A lot of these other ones have had good RSIs on the daily. But it's been a while since we've tested the 100. But hey, we've at least broken it once before, so it gives reason to believe we might be able to do it again. Look, we're well below this candle. That's a scary thing. If we lose this, if we lose $1.25, I think that could be scary, because then we might be coming down, maybe even to this $22.50, right? But Solo made a pretty good run, actually, since breaking the 8, even I would say since breaking the 20. This is probably the safer place to have made a move. So Solo, not too shabby. And then last but not least is ChargePoint. Interesting setup on ChargePoint. Look, 1, 2, 3 lines, literally all clustered up. Let's look at the actual numbers, a penny off of each other. The 50 is at 57 cents, the 100 is at 59 cents, and the 200 is at 58 cents, right? So literally a penny away from each other, just clustering right there. If this thing can get to 1460, that's going to be some really healthy trading, right? If you can get to right here, I mean, you got 2 lines to break before you're flying, right? You're starting to talk about $20 again at that point, right? Again, I've said it a number of times, it's not easy to break a cluster, let alone 3, right? However, we've at least broken the 20 pretty nicely, right? Over the 8, also on all those days, and though we see a red candle today, definitely good though, right? Still well above yesterday and well above the last big day, right? Again, obviously it was a +2 day, but it opened right here and it closed here, right? Someone actually lost some money on that. So that's why you see the red candle despite the red day. The red candle despite the green day. But again, ChargePoint, really quickly, let me just see what Tesla looks like. Not as tight, but I remember ChargePoint and Tesla moving together a lot, actually. That's why I made that quick check. Hey, look, there's been better weeklies on this, but that 3 on the daily is 2 on the weekly. And again, we've talked about it. It's better when there's a little bit of a gap than when they're stacked up. But hey, if you can break them both in one shot, and we've seen it happen, right? Pretty much happens right here, you can say. It makes a good run, right? So, yeah, watch these. Overall, a lot of positivity. As long as the NASDAQ keeps chugging up, these are going to be doing really well, right? The one thing I keep saying is bank those profits, because until the NASDAQ gets over the 200, there's still worry that a downtrend might come, right? So, obviously, there's a lot of good, but I like to sprinkle a little bit of that pessimistic pessimistic thought, just to not surprise you if it happens. But yeah, as long as we're over the 8, good things are happening, right? So I hope you're learning.